thank you everybody for coming back to When Words Fail Music Speaks podcast, where we fight depression with the power of music. I am your first person to have the host, James Andrew Cox. And I got an awesome interview today. I'm not really sure how to pronounce his name, but we're gonna get that in right away. It's Michaell.
Magrutsche. Michaell Magrutsche.
Perfect. Thank you so much for that. Yeah. First, let me tell you about him before we chat with him. So Michaell is a multidisciplinary artist who has written 5 books and artist of the paintings. Also, he is a musician, which I love the most. Um, Not that I didn't think wrong with painting, because I paint too. um, he's reached out to us on Podmatch to talk about the power of our human weave and artist creation can bring us into balance, which makes us fulfilled and happy even in business. What's going on, Michaell? How are you doing today?
Hi, James. Good to be on your show. I am just to let the audience know. I've been born in Vienna, Austria. I was a sick child, and when I went to school, I couldn't do anything. I was just like I was so neurodiverse, dysgraphia and dyslexia. So I'm completely self-taught, and art was the one thing that so many of us, uh, made us survive. And I found out when I was 30, all my jobs were art related, music, painting. I sold tapes out of my trunk. I was a DJ. I was a fashion show designer. And I found that in art, all the abnormalities that humans have, like you and I, in music, in the art world, we are okay, because what is counting in the art world is what you deliver. It's not, it's not what race you are, what gender you are, what sexuality you are, or what infections you have. If you can contribute with one hand, you are okay in art.
Right.
In the systems, you can't.
Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about about you being self-taught first, because I think that's the unique ability to do. Not everyone can do it, and I think you perfected it by
Yeah.
coming this far. Now, you mentioned before that you have dyslexia.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I Was that like a Henderson kind of thing in school, or were you very fluent in school? I mean, like, what was school like for you back in the day?
It was like hitting the wall.
Okay.
It's like literally hitting the wall. I couldn't. I'm not somebody. Obviously, you see from my results, I'm an A personality. I'm going for it no matter what. But I couldn't do it in the system. In systems I was not. I couldn't. I stuttered. That's why I'm not preparing for podcasts, because if I would prepare, I could, regurgitating the systemic thing, getting a degree. I'm totally lost. I would stutter. I couldn't put my thoughts together. I couldn't remember anything. So I'm very good in the moment. If you say, you and I, hey, let's do a song or something, we could do it right away. But if I say, hey, prepare this and then come to me and then let's bring me what you got, I wouldn't be able to do it. So, and I can't read. I wrote 6 books, and I have the computer to read it to me,
Okay.
because I have
Yeah.
such a hard time. My visual is so hard that I visually cannot read. I can read, a paragraph. You send me a
Yeah.
sentence, but I can't read a book.
Right. Yeah. And it's crazy how much technology has come so far.
Yeah, it's great for using it as a tool, not to be submitted to it, but for us, it's great to use it as a tool, right? I mean,
Right.
you make a podcast. I mean, how great is that?
Right.
It shows that we all worthy. We just have to find the right tools.
Yeah. Yeah. On the one hand, I find technology a very beautiful thing to use. On the other hand, it can be scary, because you think about
Yeah,
Terminator movies and the Skynet
yeah,
coming up for us and everything. So I think uh, technology is great for most parts,
yeah,
but for other parts, not so great yet. So, but we'll
yeah.
see how that goes later on. Um, so you're an artist, you are a DJ,
Yeah.
the fashion
Yeah.
um fashion
Producer, yeah, fashion show
producer.
producer. I
Yeah.
was that. Was my past. I'm not doing that now,
Right.
but
Okay. Okay.
you know.
So mainly you focus on art and music, right? Right now.
Right now I'm focusing on art, music, and create, writing. I write
Right.
a lot
Yeah. I
because so
mean,
much comes
I
in,
love.
right now. So there's so much, and that's why the podcasts are so many, because I did 200 podcasts in a year, because there's so much people want to know, and they don't want to just talk about normal things. They want to talk about, my personal thoughts, plus what is neurodiversity, what is the art creation,
Mm,
because I say the creation of art is more important than the result. The product of the art is not important,
right.
because that's luck anyway. If you write a song and you have the greatest time writing a song, you should milk that moment. And then when you put it on when you put it on the market, that's luck. That's the right time, right space, right time, and people responding to you. Like the podcast. The podcast should be fun between you and me, and if it works, it's good. If it doesn't work, it's good too. I
Right.
mean, it doesn't. They can discover our podcast in 2 years, 10 years, and say, "Oh my God, these guys talked about this. What now is happening?"
Yeah.
So, sometimes you get discovered. That's why they say so many artists that you have to die before you're valuable, for the system.
Right. Yeah. Which is sad because
It's
there's
so
a lot of
totally
great
sad.
because there's a lot of
Yeah,
great artists, but you're right. I mean, it seems like you gotta pass on to get more famous, which is sad.
exactly.
It's in its own right, and
Hmm.
I feel like the moment you get famous, the more intensive like wear out sometimes. It's different
Yeah.
for everybody. But
Hmm.
going back to writing and let's talk about painting for a minute because I know you're a world
Yeah.
renowned painter. Um, yes. Okay. So I guess art is more prevalent to you than writing because writing you have set rules to go by. This is how you
Yeah.
structure a sentence. So you punctuation's very very brutal. In painting and art, you can do what you want. There's
Yeah.
no rules to it.
Yeah. Language. All languages are systems. Art is our communicate. Art is our number one communication tool. So
Yeah.
when you write a song, everybody on the world, and if they like it or not, they understand that song. If you make a little drawing of a stick figure, the whole world, even if you don't speak the language, never seen these people, they understand the stick figure, or whatever you paint,
Yeah.
even abstract. So we have a human centric language that's called art, that we can communicate with our five senses all over the world. We don't have to learn a language. We are built to be inclusive in the whole world, that everybody can communicate and express themselves and express their uniqueness, because there's 7 million or 8 billion people that
Yeah.
are all unique. They have their own DNA, they have their own fingerprints, they have their own eyes. So we, and you need to just be aware of that, because imagine what treasure we have, and we don't even, artists, 97 to 99% of artists are poor around the world.
Yeah.
That's why I wrote the book. And that's what I got, the Smart of Art. The last one I found out, I said, I can't believe I am surviving because of art.
Right.
It makes me feel good. Listen to art, to watch a movie, to paint, to look at paintings. And at the same time, the systems, the humanity doesn't appreciate art. They appreciate the product, not the making. They say no more art education, because it's like, oh, it doesn't give you system value.
Right.
Yeah, but it shouldn't. It shouldn't. Whatever. How many people do things or jobs that they're not going to be successful in? Why is it different in art? It's the same thing. You create, and then you make it or you're not. You learn for a job. You get the right people around you. Boom.
Right.
You make it. And if you don't have the right people, you don't make it.
Yeah, I find art very, very powerful because um, it releases the mind to go to uh, to areas that it's never been before. You know, and we're so used to having having done step one, step two, step three that we forget about the imaginary beings out there. If that makes sense to you.
Oh, totally. I say when people say, Michael, what is your three things you want to suggest? I say, listen to this podcast, and that's it.
Yeah.
There's no steps
Right.
because you just listen to this episode. I don't have steps. I trust that the information that you and I disseminate, there are seeds, and you can take those seeds and let them bloom in you and give them your nurturing, or you can just say, hey, that's, I don't even understand what the guy says, and throw it away.
Right.
But like in nature, some seeds sprout, some don't. And I'm very connected to nature, and, or having an animal, for example, because it puts you back in your senses, not just in your brain, not just in your language. It puts you back in the human being. We are a species of nature. When have you heard that? Nobody says that anymore. We are a species of nature.
Oh yeah.
And our superpower is not as to fly as good as an eagle or to swim as good as a fish. Our superpower is to create stuff. We create New York, we create Singapore, we create Nike, Apple. We can create all kinds of stuff. But in that creation, we lost ourselves.
Right.
And now we think the system is whatever, let's say the culture of Google, that's the world. That's nature. That's not nature. That's not our habitat. We're just living in there. We build a house and living in it, but that doesn't mean that's our habitat. And when you know that all systems are based on financial principles, where money is a good thing, but financial principles are not, because there's something flawed in it. Because when half of the world that works has to survive with $5.50 a day, half of the workforce, like 40% of the workforce of the world, have to suffice with $5.50 a day. You can't play. It's like playing Monopoly and you don't have play money.
Right.
You can't play Monopoly without play
Yeah.
money.
Right.
Right? That makes any sense.
So let's go all the way back to your time as a child. Can you remember the first time you've heard music and what that feeling was like for you?
It was like this. This is what it was for me. I was born in Vienna, and classical music is everything there.
Right.
And you hear it from, like, in my 40 years ago or so, 50 years ago, you heard it when you walk on the street. People listen to the radio and you hear classical music because there was no pop or whatever.
Right.
And so it's almost was like in my crib that I was thinking, but I didn't pay attention. And then pop came, the Beatles, the Stones, and all this stuff. And then songs that affected me. It had a spell, like a magic spell. I was drawn to it. For example, the song "Gimme Shelter" from the Stones was literally a song, and at that time there wasn't streaming or anything. I had it on a cassette.
Yeah.
I caught the song on a cassette from the radio.
Right.
And just was lucky that song was on there. And I took it on vacation in a little portable cassette recorder, and I played that song the whole vacation, every day, like at least 5-6 times.
Yeah.
And it made me feel so good. And those were things that, and then other songs, or I remember Bob Marley coming out, and I had no idea about reggae. And then the rhythm of reggae is mystifying. It's magical. It's just I can't believe that is possible. Like you said, actually, you said it. It makes me aware of the possibilities. I say what art always shows us is what's humanly possible, not systemically, what's humanly possible. When you get bewitched by a theater play, or you get by a movie, or you hear a song or you see a painting and says, "Oh my God, what is this?" You know?
Right. Yeah.
And this is like it's pushing again all the preconceived notion that you have. You get system conditioned, you get born in a hospital, that's a system. You get baptized, that's a system. You get go to school, it's a system. You get married, that's a system. You got a job, it's a system.
Right.
So and that's very limited. And then you hear a music, a song, a painting, and all of a sudden, oh my God, James, what am I
That's,
seeing?
that's unlimited memories, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's good because there's some songs that like take me back to when I was like 14, 15, when my
Mhm.
uncle died, when my friend died. It's just
Yeah.
magical stuff happening with that. But I have this next question, and I think I've already answered it for you. This question is: where do you find inspiration and ideas for your from where do you find inspiration from so you can produce it on canvas or audio? But I think I already answered it for you, and you said for you too. It's like when you see something or hear something, your imaginary just bursts out of bursts
Yeah.
of joy, and I guess that's where people get their imagination from and their inspiration from too, right?
Yeah, it's like a lightning. Like remember when you wanted to do a podcast, right?
Yeah.
Not everybody in the world does a podcast, but
No.
you, I mean, there's no logic that you do a podcast, right? There's no
Right.
logic that I'm a guest on a podcast because I'm neurodiverse. You have, another thing. So, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that is an inspiration, and that spirit, it responds to it, and you get that inspiration, and then you say, okay, I'm gonna do this. I don't know how, but I'm gonna do it. And then you adapt it, right? You have that conversation with your non-physical self, and you say, okay, James, so how I do a podcast? What am I gonna do? What am I talking about? What am I gonna do? And then you go step by step. Like people ask me, how did you survive when you couldn't fit in? I said, you don't think about it. You do it. Survival instinct is you take it time, moment by moment. But that brings you into the universal truth. When you're in the moment, you're 100% present right now.
Mm.
And that gets you all the information, which music does too. When you listen to music, it brings you and you really want to give attention. Not like you have listened to the song 100 times, but when you hear first a song or see a picture or see a movie, you have to be present, not to judge it, but you have to be present to absorb it with your five senses and say, wow, this is what it is. And I have always inspiration. Often other people's art, like this in art always, gets me inspiring. That gets me a thing, but not that to copy it, but I see a yellow, right? I see a certain yellow. And I said, this is such a great yellow. And, there's millions of shades.
100, yeah, right.
And I say, that is the yellow. Or I hear a rhythm. I heard a rhythm from Erykah Badu on the song. And it was totally slow, but it was magic. It was bewitching. I said, I need to get that rhythm. I didn't copy anything from Erykah Badu, but the rhythm of the bass line of that song.
Yeah.
And the same is with paintings. The same is if I have a vision that want to photograph, and I say, "Oh, that would be a great picture." And I never photograph. I never photograph in a way that is all set up. I photograph out of my instinct. So I don't say, okay, everybody smile. I never do this. My pictures look like Caravaggio. It's there. They're everybody looks in a different way, and there's like 15 stories
Yeah.
at once. And I like that because I like the discovery when you go through, photos or art that, oh, there's this, oh, there's this, oh, there's this,
Yeah. Yeah. Which is odd because I mean it's all I don't know what I'm trying to say. Yeah, yeah, I totally agree with you on everything. It's just
Yeah.
amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um.
because you have awareness of your condition. You have an awareness, like I have the awareness that I wrote the books, and you have an awareness. See, we are on another level, you know, James, we are on another level. We are so much more aware. We're just systemically not perfect.
Right.
But nobody is perfect because there's 8 billion people. They're all different. So there's no normal.
No.
There is no normal, you know?
Technically, what is normal? You know, there's no, I'm normal. Well, I consider myself normal. You are normal too.
I know.
But we differ in so many ideas, you know, in spaces.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard.
Yeah, but because that's the great thing, because it would be boring if you were like me, you know?
Yeah.
In systems, we're how these guys are weird, right? In systems. But but how boring it would be if we would all be the same. How boring life. I jump off a roof. It's the beauty of, oh my God, there's James and his uniqueness, and then Michael, his uniqueness. Oh, great, you know, let them talk. And we show them always, all these neurodiverse or people that are handicapped, they show the world, especially if they don't feel sorry for themselves, that we are normal. Because everybody else might be not normal because they can all adapt to system cultures or whatever. We are the one that are individuals. And I always tell all the people that are like us to embrace your uniqueness. If you are one of 8 billion, I tell everybody that hasn't self-esteem, you know, that is a system thing. It's not selfish. I'm not the best. I'm not perfect. I said, but you're one of 8 billion. You're one of 8 billion, a very unique one of 8 billion. That should be enough to make you feel self-confident, because nobody is like you. Nobody in the world is like you.
Going back to where you said, if we were all the same, you know, I often wonder if we lived in a world where there's nothing but happiness. You know.
Yeah.
I honestly don't want to live in that world because you do need sadness sometimes. You know.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to be, you know, to have depressed anybody, but those feelings are equal in your own right too. You know.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
When you lean into this, see, this is a system lie. It should be sunny every day.
Right.
You know, if it's not, James and Michael, just get yourself a Ferrari, or we sell you a pill, or you get a new face, whatever, or you get a new workout.
Right.
And that is only in the system logic, because in nature, every living being, the ant, the virus, the elephant, the giraffe, everybody is constantly expanding and adapting, because in nature, it's all about adapting.
Right.
And it's not every day sunny. Every day, if every day is sunny, there's nothing to sun. Right. Who cares? Yeah. If every time it's covered, that's just normal. If every overcast and rain, that's the normal.
Right.
So it's always changing. So you keep adapting, and by your adapting, you get self-esteem, self-confidence, not because you do it, because you find your superpowers, you know, like creativity, like, how am I going to do this? How am I solving? It's raining. I'm going to make myself a tarp. I'm going to do, you know, or I don't have anything to eat. So how do I get something to eat? And those are creative decisions that we do every day, you know, for anything, you know? So, and in that is a fulfillment. And fulfillment is the human success. Success is the system, is a system way of success, is in human fulfillment. In success, you have a goal, you reach the goal, you have it. And then if you reach the goal, you get a little bit of fulfillment because you did it. But in humanity, you get fulfillment is always, it doesn't, oh, James and Michael, you got fulfilled. Now you, for the next quarter, you don't have to be fulfilled. No, we can be fulfilled all the time. And that's why I say we should always go towards fulfillment, because that is a feedback loop that we're doing the right thing.
Yeah. I feel like, because I've had, I've had some bad times in life, and I don't thank anybody for those, but you need the bad times to appreciate the good times with them, you know. Because my uncle and uh cousin, you know, committed suicide
Yeah,
while when, you know. But I don't enjoy remembering that they died. I enjoy the times I had with them, you know,
exactly,
and that's very rare.
exactly.
That's that, and most people don't even see that, you know.
Yeah.
So
And you know they're not dead.
no,
They're just physically not dead, but
right,
their spirit is endless. The spirit takes forever. You know,
right,
it's not there is no dead. The system tries to tell you once you're dead, you're dead. It's the worst thing. We don't want to talk about that.
yeah,
But basically, the people, the soul of these people is still alive. You know, the
yeah,
spirit. You know,
yeah,
perhaps the spirit is more alive, and they are somewhere, you know, and it doesn't matter. They're not gone. They're not like yet now they're here, now they're gone. No, they're just not physical.
right,
It's like you go into Hawaii and your uncle and your think they go away from Hawaii. That doesn't mean they don't exist. They're
right.
still, yeah. So
Yeah. Cool. Okay, so let's talk about your music now. You know, this is a music podcast, of course, and
yeah,
we're always interested in music. Um, Now you said you're self taught everything.
yeah.
How, how many instruments do and can you play?
I can
On
play
the background.
drums, percussion, a little bit guitar, and computer, of course. You know,
Okay.
everybody
Yeah.
today is a
Yeah. Yeah.
computer. You work with loops, you work with SoundForge and all this stuff. You know, when I started, and this is what I want to give your audience too, because it's when I started, I looked at Jimi Hendrix, I looked at Led Zeppelin, and said, I'm gonna be the guitarist like that, you know. And guitar was for me, and this is how we are conditioned by systems, you know. My image, I didn't know who I was, right? I'm a young kid,
Right.
and I looked at this and said, okay, I think I should learn guitar because I admire these guys that play guitar. So I took 2 years of lessons, classical lessons. I learned, and because of my neurodiversity,
Huh?
I literally learned 4 chords or 5 chords
Oh. Okay.
in 2 years. So
Yeah.
I couldn't get anywhere with it. So I thought to myself, I guess that's it with learning an instrument, right? And so later, a friend of mine knew because I was in music and all this stuff. And he says, hey, Mike, can you play the percussion? Because our percussionist got sick. Can you play with a gig? Just, and you're here anyway. Can you just fill in? Just do a little bit. I mean, he's just like, you know, do a little bit. Don't do any.
Don't
And
overdo it. You're right.
don't overdo it. Just fill in.
Yeah.
Just, you know, that we can. And I did a little bit and more and more and more, and I became crazy. And it was instinctively the right instrument. And I said, that's why I say to all the parents that want to give their kids piano and also never buy a piano, never buy a saxophone. Rent it, borrow it, let them play around, and if they stick with it, then buy them a good instrument if you want.
Right. Yeah.
But if they because some kids are good in singing, some people are good in saxophone, some at violin, some kids are good at piano, guitar, whatever. You let them try out because the knowledge is the experiential knowledge. It's not the knowledge that I think, okay, James, I know you should learn drums. Well, that's
No,
that's bullshit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So this is what I think is the to let him try to find it, because it cost me 2 years, you know, to hit the wall. You know, I got a guitar, a classic guitar. My parents invested in that,
Mm.
and it was a waste because I never used it. I mean, I gave it to my sister, and my sister plays guitar, but
Nice.
if it was just for me,
Yeah.
I wouldn't have played that.
Lo and behold, though, but if you learn, okay. So which chords did you learn on the guitar? Because if you learn power chords, I mean, you have a plethora of songs that get from your punk rock songs, all with
Yeah,
power chords, and it's just two fingers, you know.
yeah,
But I bet you didn't know that.
yeah.
Back
But you not in the classical, James.
right?
In the
Yeah.
classical, You have to do F, G,
Right, yeah.
you have to do all these chords, and they have to be perfectly. You cannot have a angled hand. They have to be all vertical, right, in right angle.
Yeah.
And it was just a torture for 2 years. I mean, once I had it every week. I had 2 hours. I was exhausted. I had no fun. I had to read long. No, not at all. That's why I'm saying
Oh no.
humans need to have fun. If humans don't have fun, they
Right.
can't learn anything.
And
You
what's
know,
the point? Right, yeah.
what's the point? You struggle and this sacrifice, this bullshit with the sacrifice. No, you don't have to sacrifice. If you feel fulfilled when you do anything, you're not the master. Let's say you start with your podcast. You're not fulfilled. You're not saying, okay, the podcast is perfect. Well, my first talk was not perfect either.
Yeah.
But you're getting better. You're learning. And that's what it is. And you have fun. If I try to be really a perfect podcast host right now, a guest right now, it wouldn't work.
Perfect host, yeah.
Nobody is, and nobody's normal. That's what I'm saying. It's like you need to have fun because that's your feedback loop that you stick with something. If you don't have a fun podcasting, if I don't have fun podcasting, being a guest, I would stop being a guest tomorrow.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, because our first podcast was not good quality. We didn't have hardly anything to talk to.
Yeah.
But it took us 3 years to get where we are today, and I'm more comfortable doing this with you than I was then, So it just takes time. A lot of people get frustrated and they give up within hours of playing guitar or podcasting, and you just gotta go with it, and stick with it, because each day will get better,
Yeah, and also gives you so much self-esteem.
Yes.
Because all of a sudden you think, because the system shaming, nobody tells you are screwed up, but you feel it. You feel it. Like me, if you cannot be a part, you're driven by DNA to be inclusive, to be with others. We're a social animal, right?
Yeah.
And you can't fit in there. For some reason, you don't get the grades. You have to repeat the grades. And then, but when you do something like the podcast or me, a guest, you're getting better and you see, hey, there's nothing wrong with me.
No.
Other humans, because when you connect on a human level, there is nothing wrong with you. It's only through a system level that you say, oh, she's a different gender. She's a different race. She's a different, she's not normal. She's whatever, or she has a different sex. It's all systemic categorization that become a stereotype. And then we start believing it. That's the sad thing. We believe that men are worse than women or women are worse than men. We believe that this race is worse than that. We believe that somebody that has a disability is nothing. That we think somebody has no money is the worst,
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, because a lot of people talk about money and just they do that, and we're like, okay, well, that's not you. You're not anything. You're not saying anything to me. A lot of people think they can get farther for money, and they can sometimes. But if you talk about money all the time, you won't get very far with life. So.
Yeah, the billionaire and the beggar, they all worry about the same thing: money.
Right.
The billionaire and the beggar, both they sit. The whole society sits in the same boat. This is what we need to get lightened up. I said, human life and interaction shouldn't be ever about money. We created money. Why should all of a sudden it rules the world? That's not. It should never do that.
And I heard they're trying to make it more like one currency, and I don't think that's a good.
Yeah.
Oh, who knows where that's going to go? But for anybody that's listening, you can hear Michael's music on Soundcloud, and I'll link below. He's got one album, or no, I'm sorry, compilation. This doesn't tell me the year. Can you tell me what year did you record all these?
That was like 2 years before COVID. Okay. 2 years before COVID.
2018 then, because 20 years COVID.
Yeah.
Okay. So with this collection or like compilation, do you plan out the songs that you? I mean, just each. Do you have a set idea of what the album is gonna sound like before you
No,
start? Oh, okay.
no.
Okay.
I having a rhythm. I having a color. I have a certain, baseline. I hear a certain voice. I hear something that I want to use as my inspiration. And sometimes it comes from other humans. Sometimes I hear it, sometimes I can listen to some broken washing machine that gives me a rhythm. And I said, I need to capture that rhythm,
Yeah,
because
right.
it's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if I syncopate that rhythm, oh my God, it's gonna be a great driver, And my music is like me. I'm very spirited. I'm very blessed having this spirit, like you say, because a lot of people kill themselves
Yeah.
because they can't fit in. And when they can't fit in and don't have enough money and don't, get the right relationship, or don't have the good health, they think. And I know a lot of neurodiverse people that have done the same as your friends that have killed themselves. Or their system couldn't handle it anymore because we're supposed to be inclusive, helping each other,
Right.
and we are not.
Yeah, there's so many people not helping one another
Yeah.
anymore, and that's so sad for me. But
Yeah.
going back to what you said about the dryer, I don't know if you're on TikTok, but there's many things that people get inspiration from, and I've seen TikTok videos. They're playing guitar with the dryer going. It's
Yeah.
because the dryer sounds like a drum, and they're playing
Yeah.
guitar to AC/DC Thunderstruck, and I
Yeah.
thought that was the greatest thing in my life. I'm like, oh my
Yeah.
god! So there's if you open up your mind to the world can produce inspiration any time of the day.
It's beautiful to be alive. I mean, it. It's just if
Oh
you
yeah,
and I find sense in life, I could never fit in, right?
yeah,
If you and I can find how beautiful life is,
yeah,
everybody can, because there's so many people that fit right in the system. They're healthy and so on. And you and I, we couldn't, and we are enjoying every day.
yeah.
It's wonderful. I'm not even thinking, oh my God, do I have to pay bills or anything? I say, I'm just here with James, chatting away and enjoying the moment.
There you go. There you go. So we got one compilation album out right now. Are we going to be releasing more and more as the time goes on?
I have a lot of stuff that I created that I haven't released.
Great.
I want to go back to it and overwork it because, the older you get, the wiser you get, and you see it from a different perspective. This is also what I tell all my musician friends and artist friends. I say, if you don't like something, put it away. And this is what I do. So when I don't like my painting, I said, it's screwed up. I screwed that painting. I thought it was bad. It's not.
Yeah.
I put it away for a year and pull it out.
Come back. Yeah.
When I have a song, I put it away and I put it out. And what happens is, usually all the people that I told that, I've never heard that they say, oh, it's still a horrible song or a horrible painting. I threw it away. They all said, oh my God, it's much better than I thought. Because it's your ego that tells you, oh, it's not like Taylor Swift or whatever, It's you judge it yourself. And then when you go back and look at it, it says, damn, because you look at it like it's somebody else's, right? And you look at it and you say, oh my God, that was good.
Yeah.
And or you say, okay, I see this painting and I know what's missing, a little yellow.
Right. Yeah.
Or a little green.
That's all you need. Right.
Or I need a riff right there. If I do the riff right there on 4, I am good.
Yeah.
And this is what you get from time when you allow it to when you like to percolate, basically. Yeah.
I think I know the answer to my next question, but I gotta ask you because I think I know the
Yeah.
answer. Was there like a time where you made a painting or a song, but you did like you absolutely hated it? Okay,
Yeah.
you put it away for a year. You came back
Yeah.
and you're like, man, that's so good. I want to keep
Yeah.
it. No, with no, I don't want to do anything else to it. It's good. It's good.
Oh, I like me. Yeah. I said this perfect. I didn't see it. I didn't see the perfection.
Right. Yes.
You know what? And there was another picture. It took me 7 years to finish. Okay. 7 years. I was hanging in my studio. And I was keeping going back, and it was the hardest birth, and that's why I call it life.
Right.
It was the hardest. Literally, I had it hang in my studio to look at it all the time. And how do I resolve it? How to make this? And I had the whole painting done, all the surroundings, but the circle, I didn't have the center done, abstract, and I didn't have the center. I said, I don't know. And I've never had that. It took me 7 years to go see it. And I used the crayon, to see what could work. I painted with watercolor. It was a acrylic painting. It was a big one, like 60 by 60.
Oh, wow.
And I took paper, and I filled in thing, and then stuck the paper on with a Scotch tape.
Hmm.
And it didn't work till it came. And then it worked after in the year 7. I had it, and I said, that works. And it worked, and it was perfect. I sold it. I mean, right away.
Really?
So,
After 7 years.
but it took me 7 years to finish,
Right. Well, yeah, I mean, I guess.
And always I came back to it. Every day I looked at it, always I came back to it. Always back, always back. And I am a very good judge of when it's done. I'm not somebody, that does too much, or somebody that doesn't finish it.
Right.
I know when it's done. And after 7 years, I got this done. It was beautiful. I mean, but it was not what I expected. It was not what I thought it's going to be. And it worked.
Well, I mean, it worked. It worked.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm glad you saw that too, because a lot of people don't like to sell their stuff right away.
Yeah.
But I mean, after 7 years, I guess you're like, okay, I can
get it out, get it out, get it out.
I'm done looking at this right now, right? So
yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about your podcast before we go. Called
The Smart of Art, the Power of Art and Creativity.
The Smart of Art. So why don't you tell everybody what's it about and how people can find it before?
Okay, because I'm neurodiverse, I have a hard time doing technical stuff.
Yeah.
And I don't have anybody that does it for me. So it's just I think I have 150 or over 150 episodes. It's just one statement, like a statement of wisdom that I told today. Put it away, put the painting away or the music away, and then get back to it.
Right.
So from my experience, they are not stolen quotes. They're all my quotes. It's a quote a week and a question of that quote. And for all the music people and all the artist friends of yours, and even normal people that are not in the arts, it's a very enlightening. It's just a sentence and a question. You don't need to answer the question. Just ask yourself. And I would suggest you just go there once a week, once every 2 days, once every day if you want, and just listen to it and let it percolate. Subscribe to it, and you get the new episodes. Listen to it, and it will make you more fulfilled in creating art and being the creative animals that we are.
Yeah. So that's the Smart of Art, and that's
the power of art and creativity.
Right. Okay.
The Smart of Art, the power of art and creativity. Yeah.
And is that available everywhere? Spotify.
Everywhere.
Good. Okay. So everybody, he's on SoundCloud. His compilation is on SoundCloud. I'm going to link below, and you can go to his website, which has
MichaellM.com. It's Michael with 2 L's. MichaellM.com.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. And on TikTok or Instagram or
Instagram. Yeah, all the links up there on MichaellM.com. I'm not on TikTok yet, but I just can't. It's too much for me,
Yeah, TikTok is very hard for me to use sometimes. So So and everybody be sure to watch out for his new music coming out.
Yeah.
I hope sometime soon. Within the next year, maybe, hopefully.
Maybe. I'm finishing one book right now. My 6th book. I'm finishing up. It's such a big thing. It talks about AI, creativity and AI, creativity and systems, creativity and humans.
Okay, so that that brings me to another question about AI and music and creativity. Um,
Yeah.
do you think that's a smart way to to go right now, or do you think
No,
we should
no, 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 no.
go back?
AI is the only way you should use AI is like you use a computer that he helps you to see if you misspell. It helps you to put
Yeah,
something, but you know from everyone that music, even if it's like those 8 tones or whatever, they when you alter them, and especially time is such a magic tool.
right.
So when you syncopate or when you go late with a note, what happens is it can totally change the perception emotionally of a song. When I come in late or I become early, and AI cannot comprehend it because you need to be atypical. And AI does only typical. It's a patterning that people do. And you know, all the music software have random generators in them, all the newest one, you know,
Yeah, yeah,
where it makes you sound like a human, meaning they're not exactly on the beat, you know, you're not, because they found this was a very interesting thing. The classical trio was doing they taped like over and over for a record, and then they used that. The engineer put they all decided what are the best parts of the symphony, and then put them together the best parts, which is kind of an AI, you know, but human, you know.
yeah.
So they put the best parts together. Didn't work. It didn't work. It did just not work. And nobody, they said, I can't believe we all decided that's the best part for the introduction. That's the best part for the solo. And they put it together and didn't work.
Yeah.
It's the same thing, James, like our conversation. If we say, okay, scratch that what we just did and let's repeat that.
And we can't do it.
Not, we can't because you're only in the moment.
Right.
So we can do another episode about something else, like continue, but we cannot copy. And that's what people don't understand. They think music creation is you can just do, if you have a tool and you can fix it, you can just fix it. No. Why a record is magical is because the producer and the group were perfectly in the moment at that time, like the Beatles, like the Rolling Stones, like Zeppelin and stuff. They were so perfect also because they couldn't repeat it. There was 8 tracks was the maximum, and they had those splits and splice, and there wasn't, you know, digital recording.
Right.
And they had to get it right. And they better be in freaking time right now and not just say, oh, if I just put another drum thing over it.
Yeah.
Or exchange the drum line. I exchanged the horns. You couldn't. So they had to be in time space. And that's why they created such wonderful things. It's how you capture the moment. Why do you think Grateful Dead doesn't have any really successful albums? Because they couldn't get that magic that they did live with the audience. They couldn't replicate that.
Right.
And that's why the bootlegs of Grateful Dead are more worth than the thing. Not because of anything, they just couldn't bring the magic into the studio. Or somebody couldn't record it in there.
Yeah.
He couldn't, you know, the producer couldn't find it. And so the live recordings are more interesting than the, you know, the bootlegs are more interesting than the record. And that's what people don't understand. That's why I am so advocating for understanding the creation of art, not the notes and all that stuff. So how to understand it on a human level, how music gets created. Like I said, we can't repeat this podcast. There's no way we can talk about the same way in the same way we're talking about it. You know, we can do 10 other ones, but not this one.
It won't be the same, right? Yeah, they won't.
Yeah.
Feel like it's like the same way we're feeling right now.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
Going back to the AI and the music, I don't think that I want to live in the AI music world because, like you said, there's no feeling behind it. And with me, I like to be emotionally connected with music because there's some music that makes me cry like a baby. You know.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I don't think that.
And it's a good cry. It's not a bad cry. It's a good cry.
Yeah, it's a great cry. You know. sometimes
Yeah.
you need to release the I guess the crying genes to let out
Yeah.
your anger or frustration
Yeah. All the stuff. Yeah.
or even
Or
like
joy. Or
yeah,
joy. Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, it could happen to anybody, so yeah,
Yeah.
so
No, it's awesome. It's I love talking to you because you get it. You just get it.
yeah, yeah, most people don't, right? So
Yeah. No.
a lot of people are like for this AI thing. I'm like, I don't know if this is such a good idea because there's no emotional connection between me and a computer. It's just a machine,
And there's no freshness in it.
Yes.
If I shuffle, because we basically are in AI now, the humans, if you take AI away, we are very systemic.
Yeah.
We say, a producer says, okay, what worked in this song? Oh, Nine Inch Nails did that song this
Oh,
way,
I love that.
right?
Yeah.
And so we have to copy that. And then Hot Chili Peppers, we get that too. And we get the thing, and we put that all together. And again, like the classical, it doesn't work when you put it together. The people want the freshness, the newness. We are always fresh and new. Every human is always fresh and new because every moment is a creative new moment, and you're a different person every moment. So we are addicted to seeing, oh my God, James just did that. I didn't even think that was possible. Or wow, this is amazing.
Yeah.
And when people don't want mixed up stuff that was patterning, because what AI is a patterning. It's a selection of successful patterns used to alter your patterns to be system adapt. And that doesn't work. It doesn't work because it will be, even if it's perfect. Perfect isn't beautiful.
No.
Imperfection makes beauty. Imperfection makes beauty.
Perfectly said. I couldn't say it better. No. Yeah.
So people will be bored. They say it's already all these formulaic movies. You see already all these numbers dropping because people don't want a movie formula. I looked yesterday at a movie because I'm not watching a lot of movies, and I looked at a real, a long, and I must tell you honestly, even though beautiful woman and all this stuff and action and all this stuff, but I could see what's going to happen. I knew the story, even though I don't know the story.
Yeah. Yeah.
And nobody wants that. And AI gives us more of that, which is, it's horrible. It's not a fulfilling. Even that with Instagram and TikTok, the patterning is better. So you get more stuff that you like. But if you only get stuff that you like, it's boring. It's just, then you judge the ones that this was funnier than this. Let's say you want funny skit, and you get all the funny, then you say, oh, I prefer this funny to that funny. So, and you can never discover anything because before, when it was random, you saw, oh, there's an animal movie I like, or there's an animal clip I like, or there's this guy I like with the cars. And now it's all what you stay longest on. So if you stay long on whatever sewing, you get sewing videos. So if you stay on comedy, you get comedy videos.
Right. Exactly.
Or your group. Let's say you're a fan of whatever. I had read about Chili Peppers or somebody, AC/DC. You get an AC/DC one after the other.
I love AC/DC.
No, I love AC/DC, but do you want to only hear AC/DC? No, you're not listening to the. Yeah, exactly. But AI feeds you that. AI feeds you every day AC/DC. If they see that you are longer on AC/DC than any other band, they're gonna feed you AC/DC.
Yeah, exactly.
Because the system doesn't know. They're stupid.
Exactly. Yeah. I love AC/DC. Don't get me wrong, but not every day.
Yeah.
Not every hour, every day. Speaking of that, we have two more questions, and then we'll let you go.
Okay, go ahead.
First question is: who is your favorite band ever made? Ever? And the
The
answer
band?
Yeah, band or artist.
Miles Davis?
Great.
Because I never could expect what this guy does, and he's, I think, the wisest musician, one of the wisest. He was a philosopher in a musician. he was a philosopher in a musician's body. What he said about music is unbelievable.
Yeah. I can't go wrong with Miles. I personally love Miles. I have a vinyl record of him, that I should
Yeah.
bring out and listen to.
Yeah.
Pretty soon, because I haven't listened to it and I don't know when. But
Yeah.
last question. Okay, so this might be the hardest question ever today. I don't know. um, when you're down and feel sad, I don't know if you have depression or not. Um,
Yeah.
when you're down and sad, who is a, a an artist or a band or an album that you can listen to, but it can't take it, but you can't tell anybody how it makes you feel deep inside your soul. I mean, like it's so ingrained in
If
you.
I'm really down,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
I go usually to tribal music. So I'm going to percussion because that's my
yeah,
instrument,
right.
percussion. So bossa nova, Spanish, flamenco,
Mm,
uh, very essential human sounds, reggae, um, and classical. Even though classical has a sadness to it,
yeah,
but it helps me to connect to myself,
yeah.
to listen to the violins or it's funny. I have a whole list of songs that I use specifically for certain things. Like if I was sad, and as before this podcast, I would get certain things, like I would listen to Joe Jackson,
Yeah, yeah,
you know, or I would, I would, or B-52s. I would pump myself up with B-52s because they're always so light. They're light, fluffy, and very rhythmic. So I think rhythm is probably the stuff that gets me back in the rhythm of myself and the earth, because rhythm is all interconnected. So percussion, rhythm, so it's a very rhythmic. I'm not going into whiny thing. I'm not going into enigma. Enigma
yeah.
song or the spherical sounds. I don't go into that.
Okay.
So I go more into the raw song, and it might be the AC/DC,
Yeah,
TNT,
yeah.
or
Thunderstruck or something.
yeah, Thunderstruck, exactly. Back in Black. I mean, it would get this, and I'm so good in me that I know what I would need. I have listened for so long about music. I know exactly what I need right now. I have my bar. It's like, what drink do you prefer?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I'm going I'm going to the vibration that I first. Somebody listen to blues too. That's also very essential.
Blues is amazing. Yeah.
Oh my God. Muddy Waters. I adore Muddy Waters.
Yeah. Jimmy. What's his name? Not Jimmy Buffett. Uh, Blue on Black. He's like Kitty Wayne Shepherd. I listen to him a lot, and I really
Yeah.
like the sound. And that sometimes gets me out of the bad funk that I'm in. Country music is one that is my number one go to.
Yeah.
Cause I was growing up with country, cause country music is my favorite genre ever.
It's very human. It's very
Yeah,
humane. See,
right,
it's getting you into the
yeah,
storytelling. You see, we are archetypal, right?
right,
We living in our caves, and then we go together to the campfire, and then we share stories, music, and food. And
yeah,
that is archetypal in us. That's our go-to as being unique, different, unique animals that come together in the social. It's like the watering holes for animals is
mm,
our campfire.
right,
And that's where we're going to, and we exchange all this stuff.
yeah, yeah. Well, Michael, I really love that you came on the show today, and I'm sorry it took us so long to reconnect again.
Don't worry.
uh,
Don't worry.
and please come back anytime you want to come back. Just come on back, and we would love to be on your podcast
Yeah.
if you like, because I know you do 30-second stuff, but I mean, you got to start somewhere, right? And I love the way.
Yeah, I mean, if I do it, I don't have a plan to do it because I cannot prepare for stuff.
Bro, okay.
I have to do. I come on your. If you need me, I come anytime. You say, "Hey,
Call back anytime you
come
want
on."
to. Yeah.
But I want to. I don't think I can do it with my dyslexia. I have to do everything myself. I don't have any team or anything.
Well, we're honored
So,
to have you back whenever you want to. You can come on back
okay, Jim.
anytime you want to.
I really appreciate it, and we need to connect on all socials so we know what we're doing, so we can cross promote all this stuff. Okay.
And now, and for anybody listening, I will post all of his links at the bottom of the description. And yeah, for thank you so much again, Michael, and for everybody listening. When always remember, when words fail, music speaks. Bye, guys.